Welcome to our really fast fireside chat where we hope to give you a little bit of clarity and answer whatever questions we can, and mostly gather your questions. We are hosting here today with Jackie Bryant, principal. I'll just say for our other staff, Dama Perez is our program administrator. Amos Michaele is our counselor. Diana is joining us in tomorrow's session. If you guys are here as we're waiting for people to come in, one more minute, and you have the ability and the mental space, would you type into the chat your name and a recent joy or something that brought you connection during the break? If you're able to, we're going to run quickly past this while we continue to welcome people into the room. If you have this space in the chat, share with us. And I am going to make sure that we have all our co-hosts in order. Thanks for joining us today. We hope this gives you a little bit of clarity. Thank you for anyone who can throw into the chat a recent joy that you have or something that brought you connection during the break. Liz, good to see you. Liz said sleeping in. Yay to life. And then Alyssa said, knowing there are 8 more Mondays of the school year. It's unbelievable how quickly this year is going to go by, and we're still experiencing so much transition. So we're looking forward to doing this well. Before we just roll to all the information, Dama, Amos, can you say either a recent joy or something that brought you connection over the break?
Sure. I think for me, I love my Monday mornings with my advisory group. This week we shared what we did over break, what we were grateful for, something that we learned. And I just really appreciated hearing students and hearing the stories of what they did and how they felt rested over break. And so just connecting with them again after a week off brought me some joy this week.
Yay. And Amos?
Over the break, I did a lot of spring cleaning, and I didn't realize how much cleaning I needed to do until I had the time to do it. So I think that actually gave me some time to get in my zone because I feel like I'm usually connecting with my family often. So I think for me, it was the opposite, getting that alone time to clean.
And then I can just add that today in an 8th grade conference, a teacher reported that at the very end of a conference, 8th grade student said, okay, bye, love you. And then was like, did I just say love you to my teacher? And then hit like ducked down in shame while the mom and the teachers just laughed. It was the sweetest moment. So we're really glad for those conferences. Okay, let's get to the information. I think I'm recording already, but you're on mute. So please put your questions in the chat. Since it's such a short time, we want to provide a few opportunities for families to check in and really use this as a chance to collect your questions so we can give you more information. But you're definitely on mute and we will try to respond to whatever questions we can. I'm going to pass it to you, Dama.
So you received this information earlier in an email. We just want to make sure that everyone is aware because we have upcoming schedule changes. So this week it's minimum day schedules because we have 8th grade conferences. Also this week, our faculty and staff is conducting their asymptomatic COVID testing. You received your in-person group assignments today, actually. And on Friday, you will be receiving more information, everything you need to know about returning to in-person. Next week, our teachers return to campus and we begin a new hybrid schedule. The following week is when students return to campus.
Okay, so if you have questions about that, throw it into the chat so we can clarify, but I'll pass it back to you, Amos.
Yeah, so this is just another snapshot of our schedule of in-person hybrid learning, and I think we wanted to make clear here that Group A is going to be in person on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Group B will be in person Thursday, Friday. Today we did communicate our Group A and Group B assignments, and I think a lot of families might have questions about that regarding specific requests, and we want to be sure that we are able to answer those questions. But I think as far as the Mondays go, we're still staying asynchronous. We're going to do our advisories online. Our tutoring is going to be online, and I believe office hours, Jackie, I might be wrong, is on Monday as well. So there's that.
That's right. And with so much transition going on, we wanted to start office hours next week. And we were like, oh my goodness, we can't. We need to do a little bit at a time. So office hours is going to start for students in 2 weeks. But something we are really excited about the hybrid model that was created from the feedback of families and then our teachers and staff is that all students are keeping their same classes with their same teachers. Our class schedule is 5 minutes reduced. And so we're just so glad to be able to keep that. So the assignments, the Group A and Group B, we wanted to just let you know that we followed the guidance of California Department of Education, and with 75% of our families around there requesting in-person, distancing required, and what we submitted for health department and was approved, yay. We have limited amount of students in class, and that means that we had to assign 2 days only for students to come in person. We first looked at prioritizing class size to make sure students would fit and that they would keep their same rosters. Then we're looking at the individualized education plans, siblings, teachers' recommendations, and that resulted in all of our families getting a notice: you're coming to school on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday, Friday. We made up these questions before we get into any questions that you have. So as we're just rolling through this, please type any questions you have in the chat and we'll get to those after this slide. But you might be wondering, why are students only able to come to campus 2 days a week? I had a parent, a fifth grade parent, ask if we're going to be doing 5 days a week next year. And we don't know. The guidance from the state of California will still come in. We're understanding what's happening as we go. But because of the amount of families that have requested to come in person, we're only able to offer 2 days a week to our families. And that means that you're either a Group A, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Group B, Thursday, Friday. And Parent Square has that information. Amos, can I have you explain our process for families that need to request a change of assignment or day?
Yeah, so I think we've already received a few requests so far, but at this time, because of the size constraints, we aren't able to make immediate adjustments. What we are able to do is wait about 1 to 2 weeks into in-person hybrid, and then should families return back to distance learning or forfeit their spot in in-person hybrid, and there becomes availability in either Group A or Group B, we'll go through the requests that we received in order and see if we can meet those accommodations. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much the standard protocol for how we would address those requests.
Yeah, and then just to answer that final question there, can we switch to distance learning? So families can determine at any time, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for our transportation. We have to switch to distance learning, but switching back and forth would be too difficult. So families can make a decision and it would be like a one-time decision. We're really working on making sure that families who are able to come in from a distance learning model don't feel disadvantaged in any way. It's really important to us. Sophia, thank you for your question. I see it in the chat. I would love to just answer it now. I think that we have so much information that is coming in and being adjusted that I forget to restate all the changes that we've made. Originally, we were thinking that students would remain in one classroom all day long. 13 kids would be the only ones that would interact. And what we learned and discovered is that as the tiers went up, that IVA is able to maintain a cohort size of 30 students, and we will only have 30 students for each grade level. And so through a lot of, it was like our own personal POW, Amos and some of our teachers worked together to figure out which classroom could be on campus so that students can move classrooms, interact in classroom spaces that are in their cohort grade level. That means that students will get to have slightly different kids in their classes and be in 3 different classrooms during the day. We're so excited that it would feel a little bit like prison to have a child sit in one seat all day long as teachers rotate. So we're really, really glad for that adjustment that was able to be made. Please let me know in the chat if there's any more clarification we can do to that. We made up a couple more questions. So what's IVA's plan for the fall? We are finding out as things go. I don't think that anybody in the state of California knows how to predict that, but I'm really excited for all the learning that we're going to be doing in the next couple weeks as we experience this hybrid model. And then, can school planning begin for group events? We're thinking especially about our 8th graders. And again, we're focusing on opening for in person. And then we're going to turn really quickly to look at the guidelines for what's allowed in groups. And then the final one, we're going to try to clarify this more and more. So if you have any dress code clarification questions, throw them in the chat. It'll help us to know how to communicate well. But what is the dress code? I have said to our students that the dress code is daytime clothing. So no pajamas. And then we're also trying to encourage students to just wear clothes without branding or words, rips and holes, cover their stomachs and their armpits, as well as other things that are normally covered when we wear clothes. And then since physical education will be on campus, but we're not going to change, just wear shoes that would be able to be done in PE.
Jackie, I'm seeing a question about pods that I think we can clarify.
Good.
So I believe that this question, pods are cohorts, right? And so how we set it up is for 6th grade students, 7th grade students, and 8th grade students to arrive at different times. So what this means, they have staggered arrivals, staggered temperature checks, staggered breaks. So the kids will not interact with another grade level as they're transitioning from one class to another. So I hope that clarifies a little bit of that question. And then we have 2 designated breaks. The first one is a normal break. The second one is a nutrition break where students are allowed to bring a snack. We will also have meals or snacks provided during that second break, and students will have an assigned space on the blacktop to enjoy a snack within their cohort grade level.
Now, there's some really great questions I'm seeing in the chat, and you guys are really helping us know how to communicate better. So do students have to bring back books and other notebooks to school? Do they have to bring it back and forth? Students are going to be bringing their Chromebooks to school. And they need to bring them charged. So that's kind of a really big deal and a new step. And then any materials that students would need for class, their notebooks that they write in, they would bring with them also. So we're going to practice having students bring their materials, but we don't have textbooks checked out. So backpacks should not be heavy. I hope that answers that question. And then, how will rooms be cleaned between blocks? Donna?
Sure. So our teachers and students will be wiping down their desks when they transition from one classroom to the other. And then we will do a deep sanitation of the entire campus. At the end of the day, we have an outside vendor coming to do that. And then in terms of restroom breaks, since our breaks are staggered, students will be allowed to utilize the restroom at the beginning of their break, and we'll have an office staff member come in and sanitize for the next grade level to then come in and utilize restrooms. And then if they do need to use the restroom during the day, we'll have someone stationed by the restrooms to disinfect and clean as needed.
I was looking at the chat also, but did you answer, can students eat a snack during break?
Yes, we have, so 2 designated breaks. The first one is a 20-minute break. The second one is a 30-minute break to allow for students to enjoy a snack during that time. There's another question, can students eat amongst friends? So they will have visual cues of what 6 feet apart means if they are eating a snack. But again, the 6th graders will only interact with 6th graders. So students will only be interacting with their particular grade level. And we will have the entire blacktop sectioned off for a 6th grade area, 7th grade area, and an 8th grade area.
I go
Clarify one more thing on that in regards to eating, because I think the question is asking about lunch, but lunch is after school, correct? And it's to go?
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. So the 30-minute break is for a small snack, and we will also be serving a meal to go option. And so lunch, an actual lunch, is only allowed to like be taken home to eat.
Okay. Let me look back at our questions. Yeah. So where would we find the assignment in Parent Square? I think that there are settings that you can set up in Parent Square. You can change your notifications. I must have at some point set up my notifications so that I get it as a text message on my phone. So I have a Parent Square app that I can log into, or you can log in online on Parent Square, and somehow you can change your notifications so that you receive things as text messages. So either in your email, you will receive it, or if you've set up notifications for text messages, you'd be able to get it there. But if you're having trouble, call back tomorrow during the day and we can have someone walk you through like your notifications to make it easier. I love the questions about dress code, and I'm going to, this is like a mature step in my life. I'm going to not answer that question. I'm going to say, thank you for that great question. And we'll try to work together to come up with an answer rather than like just jumping to make a decision. I think that we should check with everyone, both on like favorite characters, and then also joggers. But excellent questions. I think that kind of clarification is going to be really helpful, and we'll try to get answers quickly for families. A wonderful question about our hybrid model. And this is where I think IVA is distinct from Long Beach Unified, but not from other districts in the state of California. The question is, on their off days, what will students be doing? That is what happens on Group A days if Group B, if students are in Group B. So if I am assigned Tuesday and Wednesday, if I'm assigned Group A, I come to school, my parents get me up somehow. I come to school, walk through my 3 classes that day, and get out of school. And then on Thursday, I'm not able to come in because other students are coming in. So on Thursday, I'm going to log in to Zoom, to the same Zoom links teachers have been using all year long. And I will be joining the classroom from Zoom. So teachers are experiencing up to 13 kids in front of them, and they also will still have their screen for Zoom. In fact, we've figured out a really cool way to hear kids from home really easily, to show their faces up on the screen if there's a group discussion. So what we are doing is we are serving both kids at the same time. So there's still classes of 26 students, just half of them are in person and half of them are at home, which for teachers has taken a lot of time to think, how can I do this well? We don't want to leave anyone behind. So I think that's been the main work that we've been doing, is trying to figure out how we can create a community and deep thinking when it feels like even more split attention. But the benefit is that the kids get to stay together, that the curriculum doesn't get reduced in half. And so in other settings, curriculum is either now half on the kids to do by themselves, or just curriculum getting cut in half. And so we're going for a hybrid model that I want better words than split attention, but teachers are serving 2 groups of students, an online group and an in-person group. Amos, Dama, any clarification from what you heard me say there? Okay, and then I also see a great question about gator face masks. And again, I'm going to use my maturity and say, great question. We will work together and find an answer to that question. What is the isolation protocol procedure in the case of a student feeling ill and showing COVID-like symptoms? Dama.
So we have an isolation room. We will require that families pick up students within 30 minutes if they start feeling ill. And we also have testing kits available for you to come and help your student self-administer so that we can return it to the lab and receive results so that they're able to come back to campus.
I see. How will SBACs be taken? That's the Smarter Balance test, the state testing. So this wild timeline of the end of this year is trying, and we're like maintaining our sanity, but students will experience being back in person for 1 week, and the following week we will begin state testing. So the month of May is our state testing month. What that means for families who are new to us or just don't remember, because who wants to remember this information, is that the very first week of May will be the state tests in their literature and composition classes. So those classes won't have assignments. They will take the state tests together. The second week will be extended time for literature and composition tests, or the ELA portion of the test, in social science. So students are getting twice as much time as what the state says might be needed in order to calmly take their state tests. And then the third week of May begins mathematics state testing, and the fourth week is the makeup testing time in, I believe it's science class or the elective class, but we will get that information out to you specifically. We're just trying to open up the school, and then I will focus all of my attention on state testing. But I believe that with the reduction in time in state testing and the plan and protocol we have in place, I think it'll go well. Is there a copy of the updated temporary dress code available online? Not yet. We are working on it. But I also think that your questions about dress code are going to help us be very clear in order to put up something, maybe a better draft than our first. What have I missed? What else? Thank you, Florence and others who are saying, like, if you want to find the Parent Square information, if you log into Parent Square, look under posts. I am aware that schools put out a lot of communication, so thank you for navigating all of this. Are students sharing supplies in classes? Dama, you could answer this?
Yeah, so we're asking that students bring their own supplies that they'll need for any academic activity, including their Chromebook. I think that most of the learning will occur with the Chromebook at hand, right? When it comes to, we discussed this with teachers last week, actually, when it comes to lending out books, our Lit Comp teachers do have books on campus that they will be able to lend out to students. But what we've asked them to do is to check it out for the remainder of the semester. And at the end of the semester, when we collect all the books, the kids will bring them back to campus. If it is something where a student just needs something to read, we'll have a bucket set up where kids are returning books, and those books will be untouched for 3 days before they're lent out to another student. So we have kind of like a system when it comes to books that students can read.
Yeah, and I see other really great questions. Sophia, just to add on to that same question, students can bring their own books from home. And then Mike, you have a wonderful question about sixth grade orientation. We were imagining sixth graders coming onto campus and being like, where do I go now? Where are the bathrooms? So we are our teachers, we're like moving to an elementary school sweetness model. Our teachers are picking up students from the blacktop, walking them into class. The very first block, they're gonna walk them around the school and point out the restroom and how it works. And then to walk them out to their break. The second block teacher will go and pick them up. So there's gonna be no wondering. We're gonna have such a small group of students that we're going to take such good care of them. No one will be confused about where to go. So I see a question also about students working on screens, even in their hybrid days. Yes, and this is one of the things that is A little disappointing about the age of technology is that students will still have Chromebooks when they're in person. My own child's elementary school, it said, don't worry about Chromebooks. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're not going to be on the screen when they're in person. But no, it turns out that the elementary school just has a set of Chromebooks for school and a set of Chromebooks for home. And I didn't know how they were going to go without Chromebooks. But our students in school are not going to be on Zoom, but they still will be completing assignments like on their Google documents. That whenever a teacher is presenting slides, students don't need to look at the screen. The teacher will be able to project the slides in front of them. So we're going to have a lot more limited need for a screen, but we'll still probably have, just like there used to be an inkwell on kids' desks in the Prairie days, we're going to have a Chromebook on the corner of a student's desk that will open up when the time is there. But we know that being in person means maybe we can be off the screen a little bit more. I see our time and it is so limited. You guys are really helping us with questions. We'll have another day tomorrow, but if we're not able to answer your questions in this session, please email info@IVA Long Beach. And then we'll put out all the answers to this on our website and in our newsletter. Are there any other questions, Amos, that you see right now we can try to answer?
I just highlighted them, so I don't know if we're just continuing on tomorrow's fireside chat. So
Yeah, we can probably try to designate a drop-off and pickup area. Dama?
Yeah, so we'll have a gate in the material that we send out on Friday. You'll see a map that includes like the designated gate. So there will be a gate for 6th grade and 8th grade and 7th grade. And it's going to be towards the back of campus. Similar, so that'll be the entryway where kids will do their screening, take a temperature check, and then that's also where kids will be released from.
There's a question about after-school programs, and for that, we don't have after-school programs in place at this time. That is something that we do hope to move towards, but I just don't know if we'll be able to do it in the remainder of this year. I also see a really great question about spirit wear. I know that we have some extra supplies, so I think that if I can contact our PTA, maybe our PTA can think about how we might do a spirit wear pickup, especially because you guys, this Friday is when our 5th grade families have to register for IVA. So I know that incoming families are going to be interested in getting some spirit wear. I think that the fireside chat for tomorrow, Claudia, what a good transition question. The fireside chat for tomorrow will not have, well, we will try to answer all the questions that we've received today. So maybe there'll be some new information, and probably the questions that people bring us tomorrow will help us provide new information, but otherwise we're not going to have new information tomorrow. But we will take I hope this is helpful for you all. We'll take a screenshot of each of these slides with answers and put them in our newsletter and on our website too. Thank you for joining us for a very short amount of time. We know that you're human beings with huge lives and beautiful things that you do. So if you can, it will help us feel like a community. If you can throw into the chat a final thought, it doesn't have to be about this meeting, but it can. Anything that you've realized, anything you want to keep thinking about, anything you appreciate or are grateful for in this world. Thanks for your thanks. Sarah Marsh, it's really great to see your name there. Oh, wonderful questions. Thanks for adding more questions too. I see, thanks for working with our children. Grateful for thoughtfulness. Oh, we really do want to be thoughtful. Realize how hardworking my kids are. Yes. Gratitude for centering students' social emotional safety. Thank you. We really are focusing on that. And we realize also that the adult social emotional safety and dealing with our own trauma has to be done before we can do the same for our kids. And Florence says, I realize I haven't driven across town. I know the driving is going to pick up all of a sudden. in the city because kids are going back. So you guys, I hope you all stay safe this evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for throwing your questions and also for your patience as we make this big transition. Have a good evening, everybody. I don't even have any music or anything.